In need of a Windows 10 key for your new PC build? Well, you're in luck. Today's sponsor is CDK Deals, and they have a deal for you. CDK Deals is a site that offers excellent deals on games and software. And of course, they offer Windows 10 Pro OEM keys at a ridiculously good price. Just find the best deal and go ahead and pop in my promo code GOG20 to apply an additional 20% off. You can check out securely via credit card or PayPal, and once done, you will go ahead and get direct access to your key via the website as well as in your email. Once you have your key, all you have to do is type in activate in your search bar, go ahead and pop the key in, and poof, you're up and running. To take advantage of this excellent offer, all you have to do is click the link in the description and pin comment down below. Make sure to apply GOG20 to get that additional 20% off. Hello everyone, and welcome to The Good Old Gamer. Hope you all had a great Christmas and a happy new year. This is a channel where we cut through the marketing BS, take a look at new and old gaming technologies to figure out what makes the most sense for you. And new and old gaming technologies is exactly what we're going to be talking about here today. As it looks like mining is back, guys. So the mining craze went away, came back, went away, and it looks like it is returning again. So on top of the global pandemic and all of the economies of the world going crazy, we now have mining resurfacing. Now, there's few reasons why this is and why this makes sense that it's happening now. We're going to talk about that in this video. But most importantly, we're going to talk about how this is going to impact you directly. And if you're in the market for a GPU, you're kind of out of luck. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today. Before we get into it, if you like videos like this, please smash that like button. YouTube's really been hard nerfing smaller channels like mine. I know Paul from Not an Apple Fan, he's having kind of a rough go of it. So if you like videos like mine, like his, make sure you smash that like button. And of course, commenting in the comment section below lets YouTube know that you guys are engaged with this kind of content and they go ahead and promote it more. And I thank you guys all for your support. So I went ahead and mentioned Paul because he and I discussed this a couple of days ago when we recorded today's Techonomics podcast, which will be coming out later today. Links are in the description below if you guys want to go ahead and hear both of us discuss this. But we actually have more information now, as this is clearly the direction where things are going. So it all started with Brian over at Tech Yes City. He did a great video breaking down how Ethereum is gaining value, and that's one of the main reasons why we're starting to see mining kick back up. It's because Ethereum is good for GPU mining. However, GPU technology kind of fell behind where ASICs were able to just outperform, and it just wasn't profitable for GPU mining anymore. That's why it went away. This leads into reason 2 why mining is back, and that is the RTX 30 series are extremely good at mining. So this combination of Ethereum going up in value plus the RTX 30 series able to mine far more efficiently than any other GPU generation means, poof, mining is now profitable. So I know what you're thinking. We know that the AMD RDNA 2 cards, so Big Navi, isn't so great at mining. This is true. However, this means that the RTX 30 series, miners are buying all of those. AMD is basically left trying to supply the entire rest of the GPU market, which they were never planning on doing. As a company that controls 20-ish% of the discrete GPU market, they were expecting at best maybe to have to supply 30%. So that means every single card that AMD is churning out, all of the NVIDIA buyers that are interested in NVIDIA cards, which can't get them because miners are buying them up, are now buying the AMD cards. So what's happening is scalping and things of that nature are now driving up RDNA 2 prices through the moon. So after Paul and I recorded the Techonomics podcast, we went back and just searched on eBay on a few prices of older GPUs to see if this is really what's going on. And here are some of the examples. I'm going off of prices from a couple days ago. Things could be more expensive, but GTX 970s are now selling for about $150 USD. Just a few months ago, I bought one for about $75 shipped. So this means the price has doubled in the past few months. For old technology, this is 2014 GPU, and the price has doubled. The R9 390, that was over $200. And then RX 5700 XTs, new, are going for $500 plus. So this to us was like, okay, yes, mining is definitely back, because there'd be no reason for these old GPUs to be going up in price if this was simply, people scalping GPUs, or the standard GPU buying market were just out there buying up, all of the 30 series and 6800s and whatnot. If that was the case, obviously those prices would be inflated. Maybe current gen, like the 5700 XT, and I've mentioned on the channel before, the RTX 2060, that is now at or above $400. Maybe those are going up because people couldn't buy these cards, they were waiting, so now they're buying the last generation GPUs. But there's literally no reason why something like an R9 390 or a GTX 970 would double or triple in price over the past couple of months if mining wasn't back. And plain and simple, people can't buy those GPUs. And this isn't really news. We've known that 30 series cards are very difficult to get, but you had a chance at getting them. But today, over at videocards.com, they clearly show this mining rig that is now making over $20,000 per month using RTX 3080s. The RTX 3080 is like the sweet spot for miners because it has enough VRAM, its MSRP was low enough, and the power draw for however much mega hash it has is actually pretty much pinnacle in terms of price, performance, and overall efficiency. So those cards right now have made mining so profitable again that you're never really going to be able to get your hands on an RTX 3080 until the mining boom ends. So with all the bad news out of the way, there are some upsides here. Number one, in the not too distant future, so about a year and a half from now, you're going to be able to buy RTX 3080s for peanuts. Once the mining boom stops booming and it starts crashing, people are going to unload these things like crazy, and we might be seeing $200 or $300 3080s at that point in time. Now, obviously, we'll probably have RTX 4000 series GPUs out at that point in time, and they might even drop sooner in price if the 4000 series is significantly better, because people will sell off their 3000 series cards and get the 4000 series for mining. So even if the boom continues, there is some hope there. Now, here's the thing. My last video, we were talking about the rumors of the 4000 series, and RDNA 3 was always scheduled to come out this year. So NVIDIA would need to counter that. However, if the market is just buying up everything, absolutely everything that they can get in the 3000 series, would it make sense for AMD and NVIDIA to launch a new architecture this year? Really wouldn't. It would be in their best interest to push that off, as obviously they can't satiate the current market. Unless they want to run parallel GPUs, if they're using a different node, just to get more GPUs onto the market. So this may be an interesting time where NVIDIA will still sell 3000 series GPUs, because maybe you'll be able to buy them by then. AMD GPUs will just continue to sell because you can't get NVIDIA cards, and NVIDIA is just hoping that the miners take up all the 4000 series GPUs, so you'll never see those, but you might have a shot at the 3000 series. That could happen. I don't know. But that is an interesting scenario that I thought up. I was like, how funny would that be if they're literally selling both at the same time? This isn't unprecedented. AMD still sells Zen 2 CPUs, even though Zen 3 is out. So in a market where the demand is still there for old technology, why not capitalize? It's just more wafers for you to produce product on and ship them out. Hopefully that happens, but I always go err on the side of greed, especially when you're talking about NVIDIA and AMD and any of these big billion-dollar companies. And for them, to me, it would make sense for them to push off their next-gen GPUs for probably about another year and then start the battle, the GPU war up again. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully that's the way it goes. Now, other than just waiting, what options do you guys have out there? Well, Brian from Tech Yeah City, his suggestion was get a 4 gigabyte GPU because they're not as good at mining. But I've seen like the GTX 970, which has 3.5 asterisk 4 gigabytes of RAM, even those are going up. The RX 570s, they were like $75 shipped. I bought one, once again, a few months ago. Now they're about $120. They haven't gone up quite as much as the 970s. But they've still gone up rather significantly, and they will probably continue to go up. And these are the 4 gigabyte models, by the way. So I don't know. I mean, if let's say your GPU just happened to die, you could check and see if like 1650s, 1650 Supers, RX 5500s, the 4 gig models, maybe they're still around MSRP. I actually did not check that. I will add a little edit on the bottom. But if they are still available and they're still at MSRP, you might want to just pick one of those up as like a temporary solution. The only other options that I'm seeing are switch to console, which I know a lot of you guys, that's not a real solution. For me personally, I could do it, but my big thing is I like a lot of older games even on like Xbox with the backwards compatibility. They only run at 30 FPS. To me, that's unacceptable. So that's not a real option for me. It might be a decent option for you. I don't see the prices of those going up, as obviously that's not impacted by the mining craze. That's just impacted by the other stuff going on. So, those are still going to be difficult to get, and they might become more difficult to get with a lot of PC gamers probably switching over to console, as they already offer the best price to performance value, at least for now, and it looks like that's going to continue to happen for a while at least. And then there's option 3 that I came up with, and that is if you're like me and you play mostly older games or indie games or just games that aren't that demanding, now might be the time to really start taking a hard look at some of the new APUs coming out. And that includes from Intel. The Tiger Lake APUs with the Z graphics might be a decent option, or the new Rocket Lake CPUs. Those will have Z graphics on them. And those might be decent options for, like I said, 1080p 60 gaming, especially if you play older titles or less demanding titles. So that might be an option for us. We do know that AMD has new APUs that they're launching, likely here in a few days at CES. Those ones are supposed to only have Vega graphics on there, but eventually we will get APUs with RDNA 2, and I think that will be a pretty significant boost. If we're really lucky, they'll launch that here at CES, but from everything I'm hearing, that's not going to be the case. Fingers crossed on that, because that would make at least entry-level gaming on PC viable here for the near future. So, alrighty guys, this is kind of like a warning, like a public announcement. I talked about it on the live stream. Like I said, later today, it's going to be talked about on the Techonomics podcast. Me and Paul we kind of just kicked off the video with this one because this is a big deal. So if you thought getting GPUs in 2020 was difficult, it's going to be much, much harder this time around, especially if these things are that profitable. If people are making money hand over fist, especially people making money at home in the current environment, everybody and their grandma's trying to figure out how to make an extra buck in the new environment that we're living in. So GPU mining, that seems to be one way to do it for anybody who's got a few $1,000 laying around. Just buy the GPUs and make a few $1,000 a month or a few $1,000 a year off of them. So hopefully a few of the solutions that I came up with will either come to pass or are reasonable. And with the market being the way that it is, I'm not really going to be talking as much about graphics cards as I normally would, because you're not going to be able to buy them. Or you're not going to be able to buy them anywhere near MSRP. Let's clarify. You can always buy them on eBay, but if they're 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times the MSRP, I'm never going to recommend that. So I'm going to have to figure out different content to show you guys. So if you are in that particular category, like your GPU died, or maybe you were waiting for this holiday season and these new releases and you're using something old, let's say like a GTX 960 or something, that's not really cutting the mustard. But for most of you guys, if you have something functioning, best thing to do is hunker down right now. And if you're like me and you build a lot of systems, like I take my old parts, I build a complete system, and then I sell them. It's just easier to sell a complete system. Other components are going to get very, very cheap because there's going to be less people doing DIY PCs. So things like cases and power supplies and SSDs and stuff like that never really go bad. That stuff will probably drop very hard in price because, well, there's not going to be a lot of people buying that. You're going to have miners that want like 8,000 GPUs and they just need like one cheapo CPU and motherboard combo. Power, like really big power supplies, those are going to be really expensive because that's what they need. But if you're like me and you usually buy like 600 to 800 watt power supplies, those should be far more reasonable than they were last year. So there's always ways to capitalize on these things. Those are just a few ideas just thrown out for you. But I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this. You like me, you're just going to hunker down, keep what you got, maybe find cheaper alternative solutions, or are you going to go out there and try and get something at or near MSRP and play the scalper game and try profiting? At this point in time, you might as well, because there's going to be just such a huge demand for these things. Both AMD and NVIDIA, both for different reasons. AMD because you can't buy the NVIDIA cards, and of course NVIDIA because they are the best at mining, so people are going to want those. So I'm really interested to hear how you guys feel about all this. Obviously, it's not going to be positive, but let's talk about solutions instead of like, oh, this is the worst thing ever, the end of the world, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about actual solutions. Are you switching to console? Are you going to go to APU? Keep what you got? I'm interested in hearing all that. But alrighty, guys, if you like these type of videos, one more time, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll keep you guys apprised as things continue to evolve, but it definitely looks like we're at the probably early-ish stages of a mining boom. So I would say a year to year and a half is about how long it will take. So I will continue to cover this as time goes on. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great 2020. This isn't the best way to start it, but hey, it's out of our hands, right? Let's try to make it as good as we can. Alrighty, guys, that's all I have for you here today. And I will catch you guys in the next video.